conference championship week, and the playoffs are up for grabs. Grab a drink and join us on tonight's tailgate. Welcome to tonight's tailgate. I am Michael, and I'm joined here tonight by my infamous co-hosts.
I'm Dennis, and I was right.
I'm Luke, and I'm devastated.
It's devastated, Luke. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Luke. Well, before we get into why you're devastated, let's just go to our sponsor real quick, which is
Okay.
Explore Tours. You just keep it all up, upbeat and everything. But I'm going to cut to that just so you know. All right, but tonight's sponsor is Explore Tours. If you are in the Nashville area and you are looking for an adventure tour, or you just want to know the history or story of Nashville, check them out at exploretours.com and book your tour today. So there were some phenomenal games this past weekend. Some I wouldn't say upsets, but there were the upsets that should have happened didn't really happen, but we don't really care about talking about that because we kind of all last week picked one game to be our game of the week because it was the game of the week. It would define the Big Ten East and everything. So
Arguably, it defined the whole Big Ten.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
yes,
Iowa does. Yeah,
It did. I'll give you that. Yeah.
So, because the winner of the, it was kind of like the winner of the Georgia Ohio State game last year was the national champion.
Yeah.
This is the winner of this game is the Big Ten.
It's the Big Ten champion.
Yes.
Because Iowa's definitely not going to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Maybe a defensive one. They might get a defensive one.
They're
Special
going to get
teams
like
one?
12 safeties in this game.
They stayed in it. I don't know
That
how.
is more likely to happen than
Right.
even a touchdown. One.
Right.
Anyway, so walk us through this OSU game versus Michigan.
It honestly is the way that I saw it defined on X by somebody, and I thought it was perfect. Was the perfect scenario of why when you build a team, even if that team is full of 3 stars and 4 stars, and you don't have a whole lot of 5 stars, if they buy into a system, if they trust each other, if they go in and they do their job, they're going to beat teams who have a whole lot more talent. Because when you look at these teams on paper and you go down Ohio State's roster and you just see 5-star, 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 and then you get to our quarterback and I think he might be like half-star, and then you go like 5-star, 5-star, and then you look down.
Like I'm watching the longest yard. 5-star, 5-star.
Right.
Like half-star.
And then Michigan is not. Michigan is guys who've been there for 3-4 years. They've developed, they've grown, they've bought into a system, and you see that on the field. And it was, I would say it was very close early on. It looked very much like a stalemate. Neither team, both defenses were really showing why they're 2 of the top defenses in the NCAA.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, it just seemed like the floodgates opened. McCord threw an early interception that was really close. It was a bad play. That was just a bad interception on his part, which led to the first score of the game.
Yep.
Ohio State had glimpses. They had these, drives that you just watch them just go down the field just easily, and you don't really understand why you can't do that all game. But, Kyle McCord ended up with 2 interceptions. Obviously, the last one was at the end of the game when Michigan had the game-sealing interception as McCord was getting hit and tried to force it to Marv.
Yep.
And didn't get it there.
Nope.
McCarthy, again, I've said this before, and I feel like there's so many people who take this as me disrespecting J.J. McCarthy. He is a game manager on steroids.
Yeah. Oh,
And
100%.
That's not meaning that he can't. He stepped in and he made throws. He made great throws when he needed to. But what he's asked to do, again, going back to that, he plays the role he needs to play, is a game manager. It's go in there, don't make a mistake.
Yeah.
Make sure you're doing the right thing. Blake Corum was, honestly, Michigan's running game was held to 156, which doesn't seem like you're holding a team. But for Michigan, that's really good. I think Ohio State did a good job bottling them up.
What I think the stat too is like the past 22 meetings, and the team that wins the ground game
Yep.
wins that has won the game.
Usually they win the game.
So while Ohio State did hold Corum and Edwards to very few yards in comparison to what they normally run, they still Michigan still
It
held
was still
Ohio
enough.
State.
Yeah, it was
fair enough.
156, and Ohio State had 107.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that the biggest stat is the 2 interceptions. And I mean, honestly, as an Ohio State, like one of the things is I've been on Kyle McCord's side for pretty much the entire year. I did not see enough this year for me to think that he should be the starter next year.
Really?
I did not see enough improvement. Some of the things that I said early on, he's throwing off his back foot.
Yeah.
Even in this game, he was a one read.
Uh-huh.
He was one read and then forced it to Marv.
Yep.
And there's a clip that I don't know if we can get it on here, but there was a clip where Henderson's coming out of the backfield and Stover is running just a go, and right from literally from the snap, both of them are wide open.
Yeah.
And the safety who would have been covering Stover, you see him just go straight the opposite way to Marv.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an easy read. Hey, look,
Yeah.
Stover is wide open, and he's not making those reads. And I think that when you just look at Ohio State's team, the scary thing is that Kyle McCord won the quarterback battle.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's not, you look at if we had a different quarterback, this whole year would have been different.
Oh,
so
yeah. Well,
I don't know who we could get. I don't know if there's somebody on the transfer portal. We've got a guy named Aaron Nolan coming in as a freshman. I think he's a 5-star who got a good arm. He's got some good legs to him, but I don't know you start him as a true freshman.
Yeah.
And we've got
that's
another
tough.
guy named Lincoln Kindholtz, I think is how you pronounce his name, who's I think a freshman as well, and he hasn't played much, but it's just one of those. I don't think McCord comes back. I don't think you should put him back in that. He did not. When you get to that big that kind of game, you need to have that guy being able to make a read.
Yeah, no,
So-
100%. I feel like McCord, like he's too easy for defenses to understand what he's going to do, similar to like how Milton has played all year,
Right.
with Tennessee. And so, I'm going to say something that I think might be controversial. I think it's controversial to a lot of Ohio State fans. I don't personally think that Ryan Day can actually develop quarterbacks.
Mm-mm.
I really don't think so, because everybody's just like, well, he totally can. But it's like he had Stroud, who was already good, and McCord, who has needed improvement, hasn't improved. And he's stayed very much like he made a lot of the same mistakes this past game as he did in his first game. So I like it. To me, it just shows that there's like in a freshman, you expect to see like some improvement from
100%.
the coaching staff and how they use him, how they utilize him, and how they play calls and all that stuff. I mean, a good case in point of this arguably would be like Graham Mertz.
Yep.
Graham Mertz coming from Wisconsin was atrocious. Like he would throw interceptions. He had I think he had more interceptions last year than he had touchdowns passes.
That sounds
I think so, yeah.
And he finished this year, albeit he got injured in the Missouri game, but he finished this year one of the best SEC quarterbacks.
I think he only like 3 picks. Like, it
Yeah,
was like
3
a
picks or
really
whatever,
low
like
number.
really low number.
Yeah.
Like 25 touchdowns or something like that. Really good stats. And
Like a good but quiet season.
yeah, well, it's good but quiet, but it just goes to show if you've got a coaching staff that knows how to play call in a way that allows the game manager to game manage, then at that point, that quarterback can shine a little bit more.
Right.
And I think that's the reason why Milton didn't shine this year, is because Heupel's system is too complicated. It's designed for
A
arguably
quick
smarter,
thinker.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
arguably smarter quarterbacks.
Well, a quick thinker and somebody who can make the right decision under pressure.
That, and I feel like someone who's not afraid to do mistakes. And I think that's where Milton was. Like, he was afraid to make a mistake. And sometimes, hey, you don't got to be the fastest thinker. You just got to decide quickly, and you can see the results kind of happen there.
Yep. Trust your guys. I mean, and that's one of the things. Like Kyle McCord, and I don't know how many people know this outside of Ohio State, but Kyle McCord was Marvin Harrison's quarterback in high school.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
And
yeah.
so that's kind of why I think he came to Ohio State and why Ohio State
Yeah.
looked. And, like, I start looking at it and I go, okay, you have a freak of nature like Marvin Harrison,
Yeah.
who in high school just outruns everybody. And then you've got their quarterback in high school who all they have to do is throw the ball up to this
Yeah.
freak of
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
They're going to look really, really, really good
Yeah.
because of the receiver. That's amazing.
I wonder
that's
like how much in
so-
the high school tape it actually looked like who was the better player.
Yeah.
Right.
So Ohio State was just like, you know what, we're gonna take both and just kind of take our chances.
Right. And so,
But it
but
definitely showed it now.
yeah, and all that to say, like, I think that you kind of see where Kyle McCord is because you see that all he did was throw it to Marv.
Yeah.
And even in some of these games, he's forcing it to Marv, and that's how he got his first interception, was
Yeah.
trying to force it to Marv. And so he's not checking, well, he does check down. He just does it at the wrong times.
Yeah.
But
After he's thrown the ball.
yeah, exactly. So, but it's just one of those, I just don't have enough faith in him. I think calling Day somebody who can't really, develop a quarterback, I think that's accurate. You look at C.J. Stroud, you look at Justin
I mean,
Fields.
C.J. Stroud, what he's doing in the NFL,
Yeah.
you could tell like, hey, it wasn't the coach, it
Right.
was the player.
And
Yeah.
even Justin Fields, like, he's
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
a very bad Chicago Bears team, but still
Has flashes of greatness.
has flashes.
He has
of
flashes, and then he has moments of like, yeah, you played under Day.
greatness. Yeah, but all that to say, there was a lot of raw talent
Mhm.
that bailed or made Day look good
Yeah.
because of how talented they were.
Yeah.
And this is not that. So
Yeah.
I think that I'm not somebody who says Day needs to go, but I think that they really, really need to look at the portal or see if they trust.
A little bit
The
more
freshman.
refined quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I
I'll go
mean,
with that.
kind of going back to something you've hit on a couple times on some of the shorts and stuff like that, and even I think we've hit on a couple weeks ago, is like, even if you do replace him, who are you replacing him with?
Right. Jimbo.
Yeah, Jimbo Fisher.
By the way, no.
Yeah.
Please.
Are you sure, man? I mean,
Yeah.
he's riding high right now. He's
Yeah,
got
you
some
might be able to
money.
get him on a discount, man. He does. He's not worried about pay.
Hey, if we could pay him $500,000 to be a coordinator of
Yeah.
some sort, let's do it. But
Sure.
yeah, but
Sure.
we're not going to get anybody. There's nobody better than Day right now.
No, not
Mm.
for Ohio State.
No.
And so it's just I think the fans need to cool off.
Mm-hmm.
Like
100%.
I get it. It's their biggest game
Mhm.
all year for
Yeah.
the season. The good thing is next year it doesn't matter as much.
Right.
And
Next-
I think also too, like kind of me and kind of Luke were saying, like kind of like just before we started, is the fact that if you really think about it, Day is probably only like actually 1-1 against Michigan. Like you probably won't count the past 2 years because the sign stealing and everything like that, COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you said he won in 2019 versus Michigan.
He did.
And so the only real game he actually probably really lost was not today's game, but was this year's game.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you put that in perspective, it kind of evens out. It's like, hey, maybe he's not as bad as we probably think he is. Let's
Yeah.
not jump the gun yet.
Well, and it's I think that he needs to change some of his I think he needs to grow a pair.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
say
fair.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like he seems to be very conservative at points.
You sound conservative saying this right now.
Yeah,
He's
well,
like, let me say this nicely.
I know that there are people out there who may listen with their kids like
Yeah.
I may.
Oh,
And
well, arguably, like he has the same Jimbo Fisher problem.
Mhm.
He knows he's a good play caller. He
Right.
knows how to make good play calls, just like Jimbo Fisher does. But they're too conservative with when they're in a pinch or
Yeah.
a bind. They don't do the gutsy call,
Right.
and because they're not willing to do the gutsy call, the players aren't willing to do gutsy calls
Right.
either. So it's just an atmosphere and a culture that they've built there that he has to tear down and fix.
They gotta get the Washington play caller. If they want a
fair.
gutsy call, he definitely did one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
sure.
Yeah.
That's true. But let's head on before we head on to some of our like worst calls and stuff like that. What do you got for a hit
I
of the
think
week?
kind of how we were saying like earlier, kind of the running backs kind of played the decision when it came to it.
You jerk.
And I mean, I did call it where I was like, hey, the first running back to 100 was going to win it. Mind you, I was wrong. No running back did get 100, but the team did. And it was very evident that Henderson was knocked out early in the game.
Yep.
And I don't blame him. Early in the second quarter, I believe, he just got laid out.
Yeah.
Like, I think he got laid out so hard. Like, Luke was just silent on the chat. He didn't answer for a few minutes. I was like, man, gotta get some some
took me
smelling
back,
sauce.
It took me back to the Notre Dame game when we scored that touchdown, but Marvin Harrison Jr. was laying down on the sideline.
Exactly. He's like, he was scared. He's like, oh man,
what's gonna happen? What's
Yeah.
gonna happen?
Yeah, but Henderson just got laid out, and I think I don't know if it probably maybe I'm kind of exaggerating a bit, but I feel like it kind of set the tone of the game because like he was not himself the rest of the game. I was like 19 carries, it's only 60 yards. I'm like, I get it, it's a strong defense, but that's not you.
Well, and here's the thing that was the Henderson. His long was 8.
Yeah,
Like usually Henderson,
that's
he's the running.
that's what he's averaging.
he's like a Derrick Henry type back.
Yeah.
So it's like you're gonna get 3, you're gonna get 4, you're gonna get 2, and then all of a sudden you're gonna get 60.
Yeah.
And he tends to get
And he
better throughout the game.
Yep.
Just like
And that I'll agree with you because it was a little like swing pass out of the backfield, and literally he caught the ball, and as soon as he turned around to run,
he was just
the
was
number
perfectly
0
timed.
just laid him out, and it did. Like 100%, that set the tone for the game, and that was where Michigan said, "We're gonna out physical you," and it felt like Ohio State went, "Okay."
Yeah.
Instead of going, okay, well, let's.
And they call it the
ramp
big house
up.
for a reason. like
So,
3-star, 4-star prospect, it don't matter. He's gonna lay that hit.
I hate to say you're right on that one, but yeah, that's one of the biggest hits of the week.
But yeah, I love that hit, man. I'm not gonna lie. I did say Michigan was gonna win, and you two thought.
If I was unbiased right now, I would say I love that hit too.
So there were other hits in that game though. Like there was a hit to the confidence of OSU and the fan base, and again, kind of going back to what we were just talking about. But you've got something for that, don't you?
For the confidence of it,
yeah.
So I'll just the bad calling, the bad play call, and one of the things it was I think the second possession that Ohio State had, it was just in that time where they're kind of going back and forth. The defenses are showing again why they're the top defenses, and there was a 4th and 1 that Ryan Day was met with on the 46, on their 46, and he decided to punt. And I mean, it wasn't a bad punt. It wasn't anything that you would say at the time like, oh, that's a bad call. But what you saw as the game progressed was Michigan, I think, had 4 or 3 fourth downs that they converted. Multiple times they went for it and they got it, and that killed Ohio State's confidence. This was a time where 4th and 1 at the 46, you have a defense that's holding up. Just go for it. If you don't trust your guys to get 1 yard in the biggest game of the year, like I can only imagine how that felt, because you always see on the sidelines when it's 4th and 1, you always see the offense like, I don't want to come off the field. You see them kind of like
we want to be here, especially this kind of game.
Yeah, you see them looking at the sidelines like, I want to stay in.
Yeah.
And for Ryan Day to punt that ball, especially in hindsight, like I mean, Monday morning quarterback, like we can say that we're doing that. But in this game, 4th and 1, in that middle of that kind of no man's land, go for it. Put all your big boys up there.
You have some talented players.
You have talented Bush. You have the tush push. You've got Travion Henderson, and then even Chip Trainum, who's their backup. He came in as a linebacker.
Yeah.
He's 6'2" and like 260.
Like
put both of them in the backfield and put Stover in as a fullback. I don't know. Like I'm not going to sit here and draw out a play, but get a yard.
Yeah.
Tell your guys, I trust you. Get a yard.
Yeah.
And go and do it.
Be gutsy.
And so that's one of those, like, to me, especially in hindsight, Monday morning quarterbacking it, you got to go for that. That's
all day,
that's
always scared.
Yeah. Wish you could say like all day we're gonna do that, but no.
All day, Michigan gonna beat you.
Yeah. So that's my bad call. That's Ryan Day. I think you set the tone for your team.
Yeah.
And I think that was a bad call.
Well, just like what I was saying, it's a hit to the confidence of your team's
100%.
ability to do stuff and to execute. So,
Yep.
But that wasn't the only bad call.
Well, there was the bad reffing, and I'll be honest, the reffing in the Ohio State Michigan game wasn't bad.
No,
really.
It really wasn't too bad.
There were some calls that they were questionable. The touchdown and the touchdown that the guy had where it looked like he was bobbling it and Burke pulled it out. At the end of the day, that was called a touchdown on the field. You review it. There's not enough evidence. You can't overturn that. Get it. But where my bad reffing goes to is Alabama Auburn.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw that kickoff where guys running it out, Auburn's running it out, and Alabama, you see the guy's helmet turn.
Yeah.
at least 3/4 of the
Yeah,
way.
I'm not gonna lie, I got
behind the
whiplash.
center. Yeah, like
I
you
got
look
whiplash
at
just
it and
watching.
you just are going, that dude's neck is broke.
Yeah.
And they did call a penalty on Auburn for an illegal block.
They got the call that
Right.
no one saw.
Right. They got the call that nobody saw, but they didn't get the one that literally everybody
the entire
saw.
nation saw.
Now, it would have been offsetting penalties, like
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just egregious. Like, you watch this guy's head, and I don't know. Like, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
And it might be one of those things, like, you get in a car wreck, and like you're like, oh yeah, I'm fine
I'm good.
because you got the
Adrenaline runs out.
And then like 2 days later, you're like, why does everything hurt? Like, I have a feeling like right now he's like laying in bed going, oh man.
Like,
But it was
with
it
neck
was just
brace
bad.
and all.
It was
Yeah.
just bad. So, but that's my bad reffing for the week.
Yep. I mean, I totally get that. There wasn't a ton of terrible reffing calls this past weekend. Regardless of the game that I watched.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was just so flagrant, and the fact that there was just like, it's already bad enough that Alabama already looks like this year it looks like they've paid off refs.
It does.
Like, it's bad enough when that happens to then also have something that everyone in the entire country goes, yeah, no, that should have been a face mask.
Yeah.
100% should have been a face mask.
Even Alabama fans look at that and go, yeah.
Like, we're waiting for it to be called.
right.
You got called. All right, cool. We're not gonna argue.
Oh yeah.
So-
Oh yeah. Well, but that game didn't just hold your
No, yeah, that game gets 2 awards for
this
Luke's
week,
week.
yes.
So it's going to get bad reffing, but it's also going to get my implosion of the week. Obviously, if you know anything about this game, if you watched it, we were texting back and forth. I was
Yep.
at a very, very early family Christmas party. But
And I was at a late
Talk about
Thanksgiving
early, like
party.
you a month early, bro.
no, I know. That's what I'm saying. We had family in town from somewhere else. So, but we saw Alabama and Auburn come down to the wire, and
Yeah.
we saw Alabama get to 1st and goal, and then 2nd and goal, and then 3rd and goal, and then 4th and goal was at the 31.
Yep.
And you're going, man, 4th and goal at the 31. Auburn's gonna pull this off. You start reliving the day that Auburn ran that field goal
Oh yeah.
back for a touchdown to beat them. What was that, like?
It was the
12 years
anniversary
ago?
of it, actually.
Oh, was it?
It's the action. Yeah.
Okay, well, Alabama got their retribution.
They did.
So they somehow 4th and 31. The guy, I think he had 45 seconds in the pocket
I
to
think so.
kind of watch
I feel
everything.
like you might
play
be
out.
undershooting it this time.
Yeah, I think it might. But and then just hits his guy in the corner of the end zone, and it was a great pass. And Auburn, I don't know, like I don't even know what to say. Like, you imploded, you just lost, and there's no good excuse for that. There's no reason. I was saying, like, yeah, they only rushed 3, and then Dennis points out, like, no, they rushed 2, and they used
Yeah.
the
They used the
defense-
nose
they used
tackle.
the nose tackle as a
Out of all
spy.
people to use it as a spy, though, the
Right.
nose tackle,
Yeah.
it's usually on the line like the biggest, slowest dude,
Yeah.
and you use him as a spy. Don't get me wrong, Milroy has his legs. The dude can run.
Yes.
That nose tackle is never going to catch him.
Right.
No.
So again, it goes back to, I think it was, I can't remember who I called this on earlier. I think it may have been Colorado, but rushing 3. No, it was Duke.
Yep.
Duke against Notre Dame.
Yep.
They only rushed 3. They end up losing. It's the same thing. You have to put pressure on the quarterback.
Yep.
You cannot let them sit in the pocket for that long and pick and choose what they want to do.
Yep.
A receiver at some point
Mhm.
is going to get, it doesn't matter how good your cornerbacks are, it doesn't matter how good your defense is. A good receiver, an okay receiver is going to get open when you have that much time.
Yeah.
And it did, and it happened in Auburn. Welcome to the Hugh Freeze era. I mean,
Yep.
sorry for you, but you imploded,
Yep.
and that was bad.
We thought last week was bad, but this past week was.
Yeah. I don't know that they had to pay $1.8
They
million
didn't
dollars.
have to.
Maybe they
lose.
got reimbursed.
Did they?
They got reimbursed.
They bet
so
the
like,
line.
hey, we lost $1.6 million last week.
No, 1.8.
Oh, 1.8. Excuse
You're
me.
right.
Like, if we let them win at the last second with all the viewers and everything, we can double our money back.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what they were kind of doing.
Maybe,
with it.
maybe there was some kind of financial benefit. I don't know, but
It was an
Either
NIL
way.
deal at the last second.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of games that kind of went down to last second or were just consistently competitive throughout the entire thing, all 3 of my upsets last week, which I was wrong on. So That's
I mean,
great.
I'm just surprised you didn't get 33. That's it.
I know, right? Like I was thinking when I was watching the first half of Florida and FSU, I was like, oh, I'm going to get 33%. I mean, honestly though, when I was watching all of the games, I was like, I might actually do a queen sweep. Who knows? Like,
He finally caught up.
oh yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then like Iowa kicks a late last second field goal, and Nebraska's offense for some reason didn't show up, which is weird. In previous years, the offense has just torn up Iowa's defense. And then you had Washington and Washington State, which was a nail biter. It was exactly.
And to be fair, Nebraska was almost my implosion.
Yeah.
Because Nebraska threw an interception that was returned into field goal range.
Yep.
So
Yeah. No, it's again, they all three of these could easily have been classified as implosions because the team was either leading or was like playing toe to toe with their competitor the entire game, and then just the last 2 minutes they just gave up.
Yep.
Now for Florida, they kind of gave up on the second half. I don't know what happened or what went on with their play calling and why and obviously this is a testament to FSU and the way they adjusted and stuff like that. But they just ran away with the game in the second half. It looked a lot like Tennessee Bama.
Michael has PTSD.
I do. But it was just interesting to me because of the fact that the first half, it was a gritty physical game. They were both just they're very much fighting in the trenches, and Florida was winning. Florida was winning every single battle, and everything was rolling their way. But it was just FSU just stayed composed, and they ended up just blowing them out, which was awesome to see, especially since they were down their star quarterback. So. But this week, we're not going to go into any upsets because that would be silly. Instead, we're going to just talk about all the different conference championships. And we're each going to just pick who we think are going to win those different conference championships. So, yeah. So, Luke, I know you really are itching to take the one for the Big Ten.
Golly. Come on, Iowa. No, it's
score
Iowa,
at least a point.
Seriously. Iowa, Michigan. And the over-under on this one for points scored is going to be 15, 20.
Yeah.
And Michigan's probably going to be scheduled to score 19 of the 20. How that's possible, I don't know. But no, it'll be a very interesting game. I mean, I think it was Iowa's cornerback, the guy who is doing really well. Is cornerback or safety? I can't remember. Was just listed. It was just voted as Big Ten's defensive, essentially the secondary of the year in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So Iowa's got a good defense. Michigan's got a good defense. I don't think there is any way that an Iowa team who is only about defense and doesn't have any offense is going to pull this out.
Mind you, their best receiver has 299 yards.
Right.
Oh, almost
I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
Yes.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. I think Marvin Harrison has had that in a game before.
I think so.
So it's I honestly, it's one of those things you look at it and it's a 2 versus a 16. In almost any other time, you would see that and go, "Oh, this could be a good game." I don't think it's going to be.
Upset's possible.
Yeah. No, I don't see this being a good game. I mean, it's not going to be a game that you're going to enjoy watching. Michigan's going to run away with it. I see this being something in the line of 27 to 7, 27 to 3.
You think a touchdown's going to happen for Iowa?
I think so. It's going to be on a punt, a punt return.
It's very possible.
So, but
more likely a punt block than a punt return.
Right.
Or an interception.
But it's going to be. I think it's going to be one-sided. I think what you're going to see is Michigan's going to get up, and then in the second half they're going to pull their starters and they're going to play some backups and they're going to
try to get them some play time.
Get ready, get them some play time. Get into the college football playoffs. I don't see this being an exciting game. Michigan's going to run away with it.
Yeah, I totally get that. Now a game that the team's not going to run away with either team.
Well, what are y'all's predictions?
That's right. I should say, that's we're used to just covering one game, so this is actually a new format for us. I mean, I agree with you. I think it would be hilarious if Iowa even gets a touchdown. Just being honest, Iowa played Penn State earlier this year, right? And Penn State just steamrolled them.
Yeah.
So I don't Penn State doesn't have a good offense. in comparison to Michigan's, at least.
Oh, definitely
So-
not. No.
So I feel like this might actually be a blowout.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm excited about for the Big Ten and for the SEC next year is there's no more of these stupid divisions.
Yes.
Like West and East.
100%.
Like you're gonna see like if it comes down to two teams that are undefeated is Ohio State and Michigan next year, they're
They're
gonna
gonna
then
play twice.
they're gonna play again at a neutral site. You know,
Oh, a week later.
a week later sucks for them. But I mean, there's going to be more competition in the Big Ten too. You've got Oregon and you got Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA coming in.
So
and-
what's the competition?
thank you. Just lots and lots.
None of them are
Hey,
gonna
don't
have
worry.
quarterbacks.
That's true.
That's very true, actually. I mean, I can't even lie.
But yeah, I just I don't even think this is going to be even close.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like it's going to be that much of a defensive slugfest on Iowa's side. Like
I feel like you have a better chance of guessing if Iowa's going to score more than 3 points
Right.
than like them winning.
Are there points coming from a field goal
Yeah.
or a defensive
yeah
stop?
yeah.
Like,
So what about you, Dennis?
like I said, I'm all for Iowa's losing. Like they have a better chances of scoring a field goal than actually winning the game.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I'm going to pick the upset. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Michael just really wants to be wrong again this
Right.
week.
It's
I just want to eat
a
pie.
glutton for punishment over here.
I'm
You didn't have enough pie this past week, man.
No, I had a lot of pie. Derby pie. It was great. But another game that is going to be more than likely a nail biter is going to be Bama versus UGA. Now, some people are saying that this literally could be the national championship playing itself out in a conference championship again because you arguably two of the strongest teams in the country. Bama has hit their stride. They're unfortunately not as healthy as they'd probably like to be.
Right.
Georgia, on the other hand, is very healthy. And so I think Bama is still going to pull out the win here. I think they
Okay.
want it more. I think Georgia has they continue to play down to competition. And they haven't had that coached out of them. I just watched this past weekend and see like the fact that Georgia Tech like actually moved the ball pretty effectively on them.
Yeah, I mean, the Georgia Tech shut them out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
0 points and they scored 10 on their own.
And so,
Yeah.
like again, like people are going to say, well, that's just because they were, they were just game managing at that point. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You gave up points in trash time, garbage time, and you can't have that against Alabama.
Right.
So, got to learn to coach against that. So
Yep.
that's my take on that. What about you guys?
I think I agree with you. I think it's going to be Bama. I really feel like this is going to set them up. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Bama kind of wins by 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
Like, I feel like it's going to be
More dominating than.
more dominant than people might guess. It's still going to be a no-batter. I feel like the extra touchdown is actually going to come in, like, the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, where, like, Georgia's like, hey, we messed up the drive or we threw an interception, and then it's more of, like, a garbage time touchdown that kind of just happens. And that's going to be the kind of the separation where the score is not going to actually identify, like, say what the game really was like.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say, going back and looking through Georgia's schedule, even some of their big wins, Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, the only win that I see that, in my opinion, is still holds a whole lot of weight is the
Yeah.
Ole Miss win.
Yeah.
But again, when we went back and we looked at that win was very much, in my opinion, Ole Miss shooting themselves in the foot.
Yep.
Than Georgia actually being a physically dominating and just kind of taking over. With that said, I'm with you. I think I'm saying Alabama. I think I'm kind of on the line with Dennis of going, I think it's going to be more of a blowout than we would expect. We'll see. I just don't think – I think, like you said, Alabama's hitting their stride, and Georgia has just kind of – it's really hard to say put it along.
Yeah.
Because they've been so dominant in some of their wins, but I don't think that those dominant wins were as dominant as they seemed.
Like, they've either been coasting
Right.
and they have no idea what they've been – I don't say they don't have no idea what they've been doing, but they just kind of don't know exactly, like, how to rise to an actual talented team and well-coached team as Bama, or are they finally kind of – is the Giant finally waking up? I feel like we're going to find out with this game right here.
Exactly. 100%.
So, Dennis, you did pick earlier at the beginning of this year. You picked Louisville to at least go to the conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
So
They were my dark horse. Like, I really was kind of happy. Like, I'm actually really kind of thrilled they actually made it to the ACC championship. I'm a little heartbroken that they lost to Kentucky this past week. I was really I know y'all sent a text. I'm like, hey, 38-31. I'm gonna go quiet now. I'm gonna go silent. Like I was just like, I'm sad.
Yeah.
Because I know I always actually felt like if they actually were to beat FSU here in the championship game, that they would have a legitimate chance of possibly be considered in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think they would win, but it would be nice to kind of see them kind of be like, hey, this is a surprise team.
Right.
But I think it's still Louisville's going to win, mostly because the way FSU kind of played this past game with Florida, the numbers, like I said, it was a slugfest at the beginning of the game. Second half, it was just like they just kind of took over.
Uh-huh.
But if you really look at like Florida State's backup, or now their starting quarterback, Rodemaker, he was 12 for 25 with 134 yards versus a Florida defense that hasn't been known to be all that good this past year. And I feel like Louisville's defense has actually been tested probably, I don't want to say just as much, but pretty closely, and they've been able to prove and kind of step up, not including the Kentucky game, but versus other teams like Notre Dame, at that they've been able to stand up pretty well. And I feel like ACC just as in conference, their defense has, I feel like, kind of been one of the more surprising defenses across the globe. But I feel like Louisville's now kind of more playing for respect, especially being first-year coaches, like with the team. They want to be able to kind of just kind of end the season on a strong note.
Yeah.
And winning the ACC and ruining FSU's basically plans. Yeah. There's no better way to do it. So I'm going with Louisville, and honestly, if I had to say, it wouldn't surprise me if they win by like either 7 or 10 points. Like I think it's going to be a pretty close game.
I think I'm with you. I think when I look at this game, you see a Louisville team who has who knows who they are, and who plays their style of play regardless of the team that they are playing against. And then you've got Florida State, who, no fault of their own with this injury to Jordan Travis. I don't know why that just sounded wrong, but
it was right.
It was.
No,
I'm just
right.
saying, like I said the name, and I was like, but with the injury to Jordan Travis, they don't have an identity anymore, and they're very, like, the Florida game was kind of like, okay, cool, you pulled that out, but that wasn't against a very good team.
No.
Florida is not a great team, and Florida State was until he got hurt, and so I think what you're going to see here is, I think this really is where Florida State is going to implode, for lack of a better word, and Louisville's going to come out playing their game. They're going to play strong defense. They're going to play that fast-paced offense that they like to play, and I think Florida State's going to get overwhelmed from the beginning and is just not going to be able to – their new starting quarterback, their backup quarterback, he's not going to be able to keep up with this.
No, I mean, he had a full game to actually prepare this past week, and it just seemed like he was not ready for it.
I think he throws a couple of picks.
Yeah,
and I think this is not I think it may be one of those games that's close.
Yeah,
on the
stat sheet.
Well,
and
no,
everything.
it's not close on the stat sheet, but it's close in the score.
Yeah,
that's fair. I personally think that Louisville's going to run away with it.
You guys finally agree with me that Louisville needs to be.
Granted, no, I don't personally think that Louisville needs to be in the top 4.
Right.
Yeah. Oh no, not top 4.
I don't like next year's playoff picture, sure, but this year, no. But the Louisville is they're pretty healthy. They've got the majority of their starters ready to go and ready to play, and I think if this was a Jordan Travis led FSU, be a very different game.
Yeah,
very different game. Just kind of like what you guys are talking about. But I just feel like Louisville is going to rattle them early and is going to just run away with it.
Yep,
it's going to be brown ball, go Cards.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm excited for it. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to be a jerk to you like you are to me.
That's a personal problem.
So, but
blue looks good on you, by the way.
Huh?
I just said blue looks good on him. That's it.
Oh, that's the wrong kind of color of
it
blue.
Blue is blue.
But so
Michigan fans would disagree with you.
Talking about another potentially close matchup, we got Oregon versus Washington.
Haven't we already seen that?
I know. It seems like we've seen this before.
Deja vu?
Deja vu?
The difference is that while Oregon lost against Washington earlier this year, they're currently the one that's picked to win by Vegas. I think it's -6.5 or something like that, which is actually kind of crazy to think about.
Yep.
And so, I mean, personally, I think as we've said for multiple weeks, Oregon and Washington, just like a juxtaposition of two different teams.
Mm-hmm.
At the middle of the season, when they fought each other, when they played against each other, they literally both gave it their all. But Oregon seemed to come out of that game with still plenty of gas left in the tank to make it through the rest of the season unscathed and with tons of firepower.
Right.
Washington just barely held on at every turn, every game, just barely held on. I think this game might be a massive upset for Washington. So that's my personal opinion.
I'm with you. I think what you saw from that game is Washington came out winning, but in the emotional aspect of it, in the just them wanting to go and going, okay, we just lost, but let's go get this. I think Oregon wins by 2 touchdowns. I think that they're going to dominate. I think they're going to dominate. I don't think the way that Washington's played, they did. It was like they were after that game. They had this high of winning, but then it's like they could never get to that point again.
Yep.
And I think Oregon was the opposite. They took that loss and went, we don't want to feel that way again, and we're going to go in and impose our will on everybody.
Yep.
And I think they're going to come out, and from the start, I think Oregon is just going to I 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I can see that.
No, I mean, I actually agree with you guys. I think Oregon is, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they win by 3 or 4 touchdowns. The reason why I say that?
I take 5 touchdowns.
17.
Oh, wow. It's going to be 200 and something to like 4, I think.
Great.
No, but I mean, I really agree with you guys with Oregon kind of taking the lead, kind of to win the game. Personally, the way I see Oregon kind of playing week in and week out, I actually think that I was probably even going to say they're probably the best team in NCAA right now. Like, I feel like that could be argued, and it wouldn't be too outrageous or too crazy to kind of see that.
I feel like they would put up – they're the only Pac-12 team that would put up legitimate competition to any of the potential Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
So I would agree with that to some degree.
Yeah. So I think they're going to be a very dangerous team to play, and they know that. They have a reason, more reason than anything. Hey, it's a revenge game, and it's the fact that it's going to get you into the playoffs. And the way we've seen kind of Penix play the past couple of weeks, exactly how you're saying, he has definitely started kind of winding down. Washington's running out of steam, as you both you guys were saying. Penix is not playing out what he used to at the beginning of the year.
No.
He's averaging like 200 yards passing and like 1 or 2 touchdowns. It's like, what happened to the person that was throwing 400 yards a game and getting like 4 or 5 touchdowns a game? Like, his numbers are now cut in half.
Right.
While you see Oregon here and their leaders, Bo Nix, 37 touchdowns, 2 picks, but almost 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And then Irving, who's been kind of having a quiet season, but still can't be stopped, has 163 carries and 1,043 yards.
163 yards a carry?
Yeah. Imagine that average per carry.
He stops and runs back.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to get those extra yards.
Right.
Got to waste a little bit of time. So it just kind of goes, though, like Oregon.
The only reason that he is not as in the high, Irvin is not in the highlight as much, is because Bo Nix is playing so well.
Yeah, and
Because
honestly,
he is behind Jaden Daniels in my opinion for Heisman.
I would say so. Yes,
He's number 2.
like Bo Nix is just playing an incredible season, and I don't think he should win the Heisman, but he should definitely be like an honorable mention.
100%. And another quarterback who looked like hot garbage at one place, and goes somewhere else, and
man, sometimes all you need is a good coach.
Yep.
So
sometimes all you need is a good developer.
Like, I go with that. Oregon, I feel like Oregon's going to win, and it's not going to even be a close game.
All right. So what do you guys think about Texas and Oklahoma State? Do you think it's going to be a close game?
I think it is, but I don't think it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Like, just something about that tells me, I'm like, I feel like it's going to be close, but it's going to be just like monotone versus like every other game going on here. Like,
not going to be less monotone than or more monotone than Michigan versus Iowa. There's no way that's the case.
Well, that's not monotone. That's just one.
I feel
one
like
team just.
That's just one.
It may surprise you because I feel like
monotone.
It's going to be exciting because people are going to be like if they're betting, they'll be like, is Iowa going to score? So people are going to be watching. So like that's what it comes down to. While like Oklahoma and Texas, like, there's going to be scoring, kind of going down, but you're just like, y'all not playing for anything.
I'll be honest.
What the heck you guys are here for?
It's the only game the only one of those games, those championship games, that I look at and I go, I don't like every other game is like, oh yeah, Louisville's gonna win. I just have this like, this is definitely gonna happen. I have no doubts that this is gonna happen. I don't feel like, and that's the only one where I go, I mean, I think Texas is gonna win.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma State's not been a bad team.
Nope.
And they played really well. And
they've had some great wins versus great teams.
So I don't know. I think Texas wins.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of those, it's going to be, somebody's going to make a mistake in the game. And that mistake is going to be what we look back on and go, there was the turning point in the game, and that's kind of the catalyst to why the other team won.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think if you're a Bama fan, you want Texas to lose.
Oh, 100%.
You want Texas to lose. You want Bama to win because that's the only way that you potentially can make it into the playoffs.
And you want Ohio State to lose.
Yeah.
Ohio State might sneak again because of teams losing. If they do that again 2 years in a row, I'll be like, y'all some lucky people, man.
It's possible.
The luck eyes.
It's very possible that they might do that, but I don't know. I feel like the playoff.
I don't think they will.
I'm honestly surprised that they put them at 5. Like
they put them at 6.
Is it 6?
I thought it was. Well, maybe that's the AP and the coaches, but
yeah, I thought
5 or 6 either way.
Yeah, they're knocking on the door, and then you got Oregon and Texas at 6 and 7, I believe. And so it's just it doesn't like it irrelevant. It's just one of those things. Like if you don't win your conference and you have the same record as these other teams or whatever, you've got one loss. Like it's hard to put you in over someone that won their conference.
100%. I feel like they're gonna. The only way they can sneak in is if Washington and Florida State lose. Mm-hmm. If Georgia and Michigan win, it's just kind of like the way it's gonna kind of fall into place is like, hey, okay, cool, Oregon and Ohio State, are just gonna fall in there, because Bama lost. They're the only other competitive team. Texas, I just feel like.
Yeah,
so maybe
Texas
back. I think Georgia's going to win.
Yeah. Like if that's the way the Ohio State can sneak in, and it's a legitimate
win.
way.
Ohio State versus Georgia again? I don't want to see that game again.
I do.
You want a rematch?
Why not?
Okay, fair enough. Honestly, I really just want to see Georgia beat up on Michigan because I think like that's what's going to happen.
I would rather Ohio State get in and it be Ohio State, Michigan.
Hey, I'd be fine with that too. I like that rematch.
As another.
That would be a very interesting one.
I don't know. Is it like? I mean, I'm just saying. Imagine Ohio State not being the Big Ten champion, but being the national championship.
How weird would that be? That must be like the weirdest thing. Like
they'll re-sign Day to a contract of 15 years right after that.
They're like, oh, what did Jimbo Fisher get? You got $100 million guaranteed. We'll give you $200 million guaranteed.
Yeah. We got you.
Exactly.
We got you. We're gonna fire you in 6 years.
Exactly. Well, some housekeeping things before we sign off tonight. We will start season. Yeah, that's right. We will start season 2 after the national championship and all the bowl games and stuff like that. And when we launch season 2, we will be adding our podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. So just keep an eye out for that. Definitely subscribe and share and like and comment and all those other things.
Tell people about us and say, hey, these guys are not cool, but they know what they're talking about.
Or they don't know what they're talking about, but they're funny to look at or listen to. I don't know.
Or just tell us if you're just a Michigan fan and you're happy that Ohio State lost. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, you can do that too. Go Blue. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Trust me,
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Anyways, well, thanks for joining tonight's Tailgate. Come back next week, grab a drink, and join the conversation.